in the studio. Make way! It's the Silverback! And you're listening to the Gorilla Cookie Radio Show. Take it away!
Yo, what's going on? Happy Friday. That's right. You know what? If my voice sounds a little bit deeper than normal, it's probably because I've been injecting some testosterone into my testicles. Actually, we have a fun show today. In fact, this is Toolrantula, and Silverback is actually out on location, non-disclosed area. So if you're listening, Silverback, we definitely miss you over here, but I think we got it all under control. No worries here. Today, we're going to go ahead. We have we've got a guest in studio, and we're going to be talking quite a bit about my hair, maybe. And we'll weigh in on that in a little bit. Let's get to the program. In fact, we've got a gentleman in here by the name of Jason Hadley, who is a comedian, an actor, and a voiceover. And we had a discussion just outside of the studio just before, and we've got some interesting stuff to talk about.
We certainly do.
What's up, Jason? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Doing good.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Hey, it's our pleasure, man. If you're tuning in, by the way, too, to the station, you know that you can also check it out on exciteradio.com. You can see us live. You can see everything that's going on. You'll see my my new hairdo and my new face do.
Was it different Oh, well, I guess we'll get to that, right?
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll cover that here in a little bit. So let's get to what you're doing, man.
Well, I'm actually here promoting the Hollywood Rock and Wrap Up.
All right.
The Hollywood Rock and Wrap Up is a 1-minute news comedy segment, airs globally on internet stations around the world, and probably shoots off into space and is being heard by satellites out in distant planets and stuff. And
that's cool.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited. The mothership might be picking it up. I don't know. I haven't submitted my quarterly report, so they're like, hey, come on now. But no, in any case, we air on terrestrial stations around the country. Basically, we're taking the e-network news concept and mixing it with the Daily Show concept. If you're really coming to the Hollywood Rock and Wrap Up for your entertainment news, like you need help.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, let me ask. Let's go over that then.
Sure.
Okay. So we've got this Hollywood Rock and Wrap Up.
Yeah.
And so that's like what exactly is that? You were saying it's a
well, I think we'll be playing it a little bit later in the hour, if not throughout the day, because we're now partnering up. Which is why I'm here to announce that. But in any case. Basically, what we do is we take the current celebrity gossip topics, because everybody, celebrity gossip is just so absurd. You know what I mean? The absurd. I mean, the amount of information that's available out in the world, that this is what actually makes money for advertisers. People eat this stuff up constantly. I mean, it's the radio version of the tabloids, but really we don't care about the news. We're just using it as an opportunity to dig on celebrities. That's really what it comes down to.
Well, yeah, and someone needs to do that, right?
Yeah, I would say. Well, and that's the thing is, like a lot of these Access Hollywoods and these, they take themselves seriously, which is hilarious because, I mean, I'm sure, backstage they're all laughing about how ridiculous it is. Sort of, like when the local anchor shows up in just the blazer, but he's wearing boxers underneath the desk, I mean, they get it. But yeah, no, I just am basically trying to give, people a morning shot of funny, airing during drive times in a lot of the terrestrial stations, and definitely be on the lookout for the Hollywood Rock and Wrap Up live tour. We're taking the writing staff out on the road, which is pretty much me and then my friends. So
that's cool. Hey, listen, nothing like traveling with your buddies.
That's the only way to go. I mean, because I've done road work where I've had to, I'm a comedian as well. I'm a stand-up comic, and I've done road work where you just get paired up with somebody that you happen to be booked on the same show with, and you have to be friends. You better be friends.
Without a doubt, you're going to have some definitely the camaraderie. You got to have the same flow, so you can essentially play off each other's. You got to know each other pretty well.
Well, no doubt, and a lot of times what'll happen is you're trapped in a car with somebody for 6 hours driving between gigs.
Right.
So
right.
You better
get to know somebody pretty good, right?
And there are people that end up hating each other afterwards. There's, especially when you're with somebody that's like, because I try to be as professional as possible as a comedian. You know, I mean, it's show business, right? Mm-hmm. But, you know, you get your guys that, like, will get hammered after a show and then want to hop in the car and drive to the next town. And it's like, whoa.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I mean, there's stories of guys who've, like, run cars off the road because they fell asleep at the wheel and, you know, that kind of thing. So it's like, you know, it's a wacky, wild world out on the road, and I actually am looking forward to taking more of the road on. I perform a lot more locally here in Los Angeles. Just it's where the decision makers are.
Without a doubt. You know, in fact, let's talk a little bit about that, so people out there in radio world can actually get some more information on that. How do they get a hold of you?
Well, they can find me on Facebook, comedian Jason Hadley. You can find me on Twitter at comedian J with letter J Hadley.
And that's Hadley?
Yeah, Ley. Okay. And let's see, the Hollywood Rock and Wrap Up is available currently on, like I said, you can, you know, check your local markets. If you're not currently getting it, definitely make sure you request it, especially after you hear it here. But in any case, you can follow at Rock and Wrap Up on Twitter as well.
Okay, so everyone out there, hopefully you had your pens available while you're driving. We'll get back to that. We'll do another follow-up, make sure that we're doing this. Now, let's talk about, you're a comedian as well. Yeah. I love comedians. We work with comedians quite a bit.
Yeah. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, Brian Crow's on the station.
Yeah, Brian Crow with American Psycho, and Sunset Island Music Radio.
Yeah, I work with him quite a bit around town, and very funny guy. And if I remember correctly, he and I have a mutual friend in common named Jerry Corley, who's a comedian that was a contributing writer to the Wrap Up in the earlier part of our history. So, but very funny guy. I competed against him in a comedy contest.
Are you good?
Yeah,
really?
I lost to him. I'll admit.
Brian is good, absolutely. Yeah. Well, you know, so you've been doing this for 8 years?
Yeah, I've been a stand-up comic for 8 years,
What kind of comedian are you? I mean, do you attack the people in the front row? Is that the type of thing? I mean,
I got to tell you, truth be told, I find myself to be more of a self-deprecating comedian, just because I find that a lot of comedy comes from pain.
Right.
There are those times where, you know, you have to go after a heckler and you have to go full force, guns blazing.
Right.
But I tend to be more of the person that tries to draw them out by schmoozing the heckler rather than attacking the heckler.
Right.
Because you got two different kinds of hecklers. You got the one guy that's just trying to totally mess up your show. That's his whole job. And then there's the other guy that thinks he's actually helping the show. So you have to treat them differently, but you can't give either one of them the power.
You know, funny you say this. You know, in fact, because I've actually gone to Flappers and a number of other comedy clubs in the past, and you know, I enjoy being the target. Yeah. You know, so essentially, I'll be the guy that goes right to the front row.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, hey, bombs away! I got a target on me.
Right.
You know,
yeah. Well, I call it the splash zone.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It is a splash zone. You're right.
And you know, and in some cases, I mean, you know, for instance, when I'm at a show, I like to watch the comics that go up before me because those people in the front row, they're going to get talked to. They're going to be asked questions. How long have you two been together? It's your birthday. I want to know those things going up on stage because I don't want to look like an idiot when I'm like the fifth person to ask them. So how long have you two been together?
Right.
You know?
Right.
It's like, show you're paying attention, man. Do your job. Just, you know, you don't just walk into the club, go on stage, and walk out.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, and you know, I know it's got to be a super challenge. I mean, coming up with new material all the time.
Yeah. Well, you do come up with new material constantly, but new material comes from everywhere. I mean, you know, there are some people. I tend to be one of those guys that thinks of a funny line, and then I have to build a joke around it.
Right.
So versus a lot of comics that are going to sit there in the cereal aisle with a notebook pad, going, what's funny about cereal?
Right.
What's funny about cereal?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there's a different way to go. Now, it's interesting because my writing is different than my stand-up because my writing, I write like a joke, like a Jay Leno monologue joke, you know? Whereas in my stand-up, you know, I just think of funny things and then I have to build something around it. And I have a dozen notebooks full of material.
Is this like mostly improv, would you say?
No. Well, you know, that's the trick. That's the smoke and mirrors about that, is that it's really about being able to tell a pre-written joke and make it sound spontaneous every time. That's really the trick, is what it comes down to. So you're trying to tell the same joke over and over again, and you have nights where the same joke doesn't work from night to night, or doesn't work between the 8 o'clock show and the 10 o'clock show.
Right.
So you need to be able to have a grab bag of anything.
Gotcha. So, I mean, as far as your influences, obviously getting into it, was there somebody that you really, were digging on and, you kind of emulated?
I don't know if I've necessarily emulated anybody so much as just that the people that I admire are very smart and sometimes heady comics, but not that alternative weird comedy. I mean, like people that craft jokes, like a Paul Lynde. I mean, he's old, like a Rodney Dangerfield. Yeah, an older guy.
Right.
Those old Dean Martin roasts, those are my favorite.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, because everybody is just taking shots at each other. It's all done with love, but everybody took the time to write those jokes out or paid a writer to do it, but whatever. So I've always wanted to write for the Jeff Ross roasts on Comedy Central, but sadly never been able to get into that guy's pants. But it's a mission of mine. But yeah, no, I definitely enjoy being spontaneous at the same time as writing jokes, and so I do love like Mitch Hedberg. Those kind of guys. Very left field. Zig where you think you should zag.
Right. I like it. Yeah. So, and speaking of which, you actually have, you've got a show tomorrow.
I do.
And what is it? I understand this is Sal's Comedy Hole in L.A.?
Yeah, this is here in Los Angeles on Melrose. Sal's Comedy Hole. Gosh, I should have had my phone ready to get the address handy, but you can actually go to salscomedyhole.com and they have the entire calendar there. And that's SALS Comedy Hole, which I think just the names of comedy clubs are hilarious because you got like the Chuckle Hut and you got like zebras and shenanigans and stuff like that.
Well, it's got to be catchy, they got to understand at one word if you can of the aha. Okay, I know that's supposed to be funny.
But Sal's Comedy Hole just lends itself to funny. You know what I mean? That's what I love about it specifically because I mean on my Facebook post, for example, I put hey, I'm doing Sal's Comedy Hole on Saturday night. Show starts at 8:30. Last time I was at Sal's Comedy Hole, I wrecked him. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
Come out and help me fill Sal's Comedy Hole.
That's awesome. So, when is your time slot?
Actually, I'm the host of the show that night.
You're the host of the show.
So I'll be going up first. I think doors open at 8:30. Show, rock and roll time. Show will probably start around 9. But nevertheless, I'll be the first one up. I'll do a little bit of time in front just to kind of warm up the audience.
Sure.
Get the jitters out of the room.
Without doubt, yeah.
Yeah, I tend to be one of those comics that gets thrown to the wolves. You know what I mean? Like it's hilarious. Like I remember one time I was in Palmdale, and for those out in Radioland that don't know Palmdale, if you remember that movie, The Hills Have Eyes, go about 10 miles past them. And then hang a right, and that's about Palmdale. You know what I mean? Like,
I've been there, so I can attest. That is exactly what it is. In fact, I think they got like a liquor store in every corner,
right? And
just about every meth and crack user. That's like their stomping ground.
But the funny part about Palmdale is that there's a liquor store in every corner, but the corners are like a quarter mile apart because all the building development. They make these huge intersections with like 5-lane streets. And
Strategic planning is what that was.
They were. Well, if I remember correctly, I mean, I just kind of, if you didn't laugh, you learned, but. Apparently, there was all on the promise that there was going to be a big airport built out there. So all these people moved out there ready to go, okay, now build the airport so we can have jobs. And then the airport never happened.
Right, exactly.
And so Palmdale just has been withering away ever since. Like the people in Ridgecrest are like, dude, those Palmdale people. Oh my God.
And just for people out there that are in the LA area specifically, because obviously people in different states aren't going to be making this trek here tomorrow,
but
I wouldn't imagine.
Should.
But you definitely should. If you can jump into your private jet and come see them, you definitely should. It's actually on Melrose.
Yeah.
So, if you're familiar with it, definitely stop on by and check them out. Moving on, though, actually, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your acting, because you're also an actor.
Yes.
Right? And we have something in common here that I want to talk about here in just a second.
We do.
But, you were featured in a segment, Bro, What Happened?
Bro, What Happened? Okay, so Bro, What Happened is an independent movie that's going to be, it's due out by the end of the year, if I understand correctly. It's currently being edited as we speak. And the movie is basically a college version of The Hangover and Superbad, where everybody wakes up after a party, the raging party, and they got to piece together what happened.
I'm liking it already.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It sounds like a lot of my Friday and Saturday nights.
Yeah, and it's going to be shown in theaters internationally. I'm apparently going to be a big movie star in South Korea.
Wow, so, that's fantastic.
However, if I may say, though, the South Korean audience, apparently, I found this out in working on set, that the producers had told me that the South Korean movie buyers have a minimum of 22 nipples.
Wow, look at that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is where the popularity of most elite celebrities began, in South Korea.
Yeah, right. Well, everything else is made there, so, that in Bangladesh.
Well, that's pretty cool. So now, is this planned? Is this going to be released here out in the States?
Here in the States, we're talking most likely it's set to be Redbox and Netflix, and then they do have the potential to get it on Comedy Central or Spike TV, one of those kind of stations. And so I'm really looking forward to it. It's a great movie. It's hilarious. I saw a rough cut of it the other day, actually, and hilarious movie.
Is there any kind of trailers that people can take a look at? Perhaps?
Not yet. That's the funny, but they're still building all that stuff. And I play a character that goes by the name of Beef, as anybody who's watching on the camera would be able to tell.
Surprising. Yeah, I don't know why that they would actually be applicable.
But however, I'm Jewish, so I am kosher. So for what it's worth.
That's good eating right there.
Yeah, and then I'm properly skinned and sliced and all that stuff. So,
And okay, so that's pretty cool. I really wanted to talk to you about this.
Okay.
This is something that we had discussed prior to us getting into the studio.
In the green room.
In the green room, and so you were cast on a show called "Are You Tougher Than a Boy Scout?"
Am I tougher than a Boy Scout?
Am I tougher?
No. It's Are You Tougher Than a Boy Scout? But am I? I don't know. Well, you'll have to go back and watch the show. I'll save you the time. Turns out, no, but. And woefully so, if I may say. No, Are You Tougher Than a Boy Scout was a show that aired last year on Nat Geo, on the National Geographic Channel. They essentially, as you know, but out in Radio Land, just to let all the listeners know, that they basically took 3 adult former Boy Scouts, and they were there for various reasons. So, for instance, I was there because I quit when I was like 16 and I didn't finish Scouts, and I wanted some redemption. But other guys were, they had like more worldly scouting backgrounds, and they just want to prove that they could do it again. And it's like, I never did it the first time,
Now, here's the irony of this.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is kind of funny for me because when you said that, I went, holy crap. Just simply because, you know what? I don't know if anyone remembers it was a television show where they had a number of people that all would come together, and they're actually in a post-apocalyptic.
The Colony.
The Colony.
I love that show.
I love it too.
Yeah.
In fact, I had called in to be cast on The Colony on the next one.
Wow.
And it turns out that they said, well, no, there's nothing in the works about that. But are you interested in doing another another series or another show? Are You Tougher Than a Boy Scout? And I went, holy crap, of course I am. And I actually went ahead and I submitted.
Yeah.
I was accepted. I was approved. And in fact, they were taking my sizes for the clothing and all that stuff. And I guess they were going to have me go out to Nevada, where they wanted like my folks to cast me away. Yeah.
Wow.
But I wasn't able to make it, and that right there essentially was the end of that story. But and so it's funny that you had mentioned that, because that was one of the shows that I was actually planning to be on.
Oh man!
And I was a Boy Scout. I didn't make it all the way to Eagle, unfortunately.
Where'd you stop?
At Life.
I stopped at Star.
Did you start at Star?
I'm slightly worse than you.
Yeah. I was pretty good, man. And let me tell you, we weren't in like the LA area. We were actually truly in the back hills of Florida.
Oh, wow.
The Everglades.
Yeah.
And back then we had a scoutmaster. His name was George Buck. In fact, he's so popular, he even has his own badge.
Really?
He has his own badge, and in fact, there's only 3 other scoutmasters across the nation in history that have actually gotten a badge.
Really?
And George Buck is one of them. He's essentially the mountain man, the true mountain man.
Right.
And he really has a genuine care of the nature and bringing up kids to be self-serving and the motto, the creed was what he lived by.
Yeah.
And essentially what he would do as young kids, he would take us out into the Everglades on survival, and this is no joke. He would have us in the back of an old Datsun truck kicking up dirt, and he'd drive us into the middle of nowhere. They'd launch maybe like 5 or 6 chickens and say, goodbye, good luck, man. Hope you catch your chickens or you're gonna die.
Oh, wow.
And we did. We were chasing around those suckers, and you know what? Let me tell you, survival kicks in pretty quick.
Oh, no doubt. Well, here's the thing: is that my Boy Scout history was basically, my troop was essentially the Bad News Bears of Boy Scouts. I mean, we were ragtag. We were, like all the other Scouts troops had like the Boy Scout pants and the Boy Scout shirts and the, everything. We'd show up in jeans and come like tumbling down a hill all dusty and stuff. And so, my closest experience to any sense of danger or survival was when I was at summer camp and I was taking my Wilderness Survival Merit Badge class. And you had to, if you remember taking the badge class, you had to sleep in a shelter, like, towards the end of the course.
Oh, yeah, your lean-tos.
So, lean-tos and what have you. And so, anyway, it turns out that the summer camp I was at, the night we were supposed to do this, there was some kid that was, like, mentally imbalanced that was in another troop that broke into the rifle range. And stole a bunch of rifles and stole some shotguns and, probably a rifle and a shotgun, but, took a bunch of ammunition. And this kid is running loose in the woods. And this is not one of those like, oh, you got to take your altitude sickness shot. And then they just like, make you close your eyes, smack your arm. And then you, joke, old camp joke.
Right.
This kid really, like the sheriffs were there.
He went nuts. He actually went off the deep end.
Yeah, this kid went off the deep end. And I remember earlier in the week seeing this kid, like, he kicked a dog that was like running around the camp or something like that.
Okay,
and everybody
so everyone kind of had their eyes on this guy.
Yeah,
like, what's this character going to do here?
Yeah, so Daryl was his name, and so Daryl is running loose, and we can hear him popping off rounds.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. And then, so the merit badge counselor says to us, well, you can either sleep in your shelters tonight with Daryl running loose, or you can take a partial and you got to come back to summer camp.
You're going to get your homicidal maniac badge.
Yeah, right, pretty much.
Right, or at least a restraining one.
It was the closest I'd ever come to like a live summer camp horror film experience, because he was popping rounds off all night and like, basically like every maybe half hour or so. It was just enough time for you to like lull into some sense of relaxation with everybody else. And you're supposed to sleep in your own shelters. And we were just like, man, F that noise, man. We all huddled together in a circle, everybody facing outward, waiting for Daryl to come into the clearing. And thankfully they managed to catch him before sunrise, but that was a tough night.
Well, yeah, and I know, speaking, personally, because I was in that, so we actually went through some pretty tumultuous stuff. Yeah. And I learned a lot. I really did, and I had a lot of admiration for our scoutmaster. Yeah. But the situations he put us in, let me tell you, they were pretty tumultuous. Yeah. There was actually a legend derived from Lake Tanakita, which was actually in the middle of this, in the middle of what was it? It was Lake Tanakita, by the name of Old Man Phelps. And Old Man Phelps essentially was this old man that had red eyes, and he essentially kidnapped Boy Scouts and dragged them back to his whiskey still, and pretty much had his way with him, murdered him, and pretty much just had his pretty much, right. And so this is where we were, right. So and this is whether it be one of these myths or whatever it was, it was it was pretty frightening. But we had the pack together and we had the camaraderie. Yeah. So it's like if this old man Phelps guy shows up, he's gonna get himself a serious ass whooping. We're gonna be putting him on the spit and frying him up. Now
let me ask you this: are you still friends with anybody you were in Boy Scouts with as a kid?
No.
It's funny. I mean, thankfully, like a lot of my friends are local and stayed local, but it turns out that I was doing a show out in Ridgecrest that I mentioned earlier, and the driver and I had been smoking weed in the car on the way to the show, and so he made a wrong turn and drove onto the
we had one of those too.
Yeah, he drove onto the China Lake Naval Weapons Testing Facility, and the military guards could smell the weed, and we ended up getting detained by the China Lake Police Department.
What?
Yeah, and so I got a ticket for marijuana possession. Oh. And I got kicked loose. I went to the show. I did 20 minutes on the China Lake Police Department. I didn't even tell a joke. It was hilarious. But anyway, so it turns out that a guy I knew from Boy Scouts lived in Ridgecrest, and I was really excited to see him. And so he tells me, he's like, hey, let me take a look at your ticket. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I'm the CEO of the credit union out here. I actually know this officer. I signed his loan paperwork. And so he hooked me up with the DA. He hooked me up with the public defender. He hooked me up with, my Boy Scout friend used all of his little Ridgecrest connections and basically got the charge expunged.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I still have a clean record. My record only shows that I was charged, but that the charges were dropped.
Wow.
It just pays to know people from Boy Scouts. I think the moral of that story.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
That guy,
So
he got his saving my ass merit badge.
You know what? I've actually tried to reach out. You know, I'm big into Facebook too, and I've tried to look up some of the old buddies that I had back in the day. Mm-hmm. You know, but I still haven't been able to reach them. In fact, I was actually making an attempt to reach George Buck.
Oh, really?
And I understand that he's since passed, but well, you know, I guess once you actually establish yourself like that, and having the reputation that he did, he was a scoutmaster for Troop 132 in Palm Beach Gardens. Wow. And if anybody out there is listening to this out in that area, I'd certainly like to hear more about whatever happened to him. What happened to him, right? Yeah. I mean, I would definitely like to know, and especially with some of the people that that I went to, that went through all the experiences too, because there's a lot. Yeah. And you did have a good camaraderie with these people.
Absolutely. I mean, I have friendships that I still have to this day. I mean, I just had one of my old Boy Scout friends stay with me. He came down to we went to some Dodger games together, during the playoffs. And so, but you know what's really funny? I was in Troop 163. And when I was doing Are You Tougher Than a Boy Scout, what they did was they segregated the contestants to opposite side of a lake from the production side. And so they had us on isolation. And basically these three guys were not allowed to talk to each other. And we had one production assistant that was there to make sure that none of us talked to each other. But turned out, being in Troop 163, I knew I was in the right place at the right time, because the porta potty that we were supposed to use for our campsite had a stenciling on it that said 163.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And I was
That's funny.
And so I took a picture of it on my phone, but I couldn't send anything out because we couldn't use our phones while we were during the production. And I
remember that too. They said that no devices that can go ahead and communicate with the outside world. So essentially, you were pretty much on your own.
Yeah. Well, and hilarious though, because they asked my stepdad to be like the guy that drops me off at the beginning of the show, but. Well, my stepdad is in Hollywood. He's an orchestrator. He's not on the television and movie production side, so he doesn't get a lot of stuff. Plus, he's a very smart and heady individual, Right. And so when he was dropping me off, my mom called him to go, hey, when are you coming home? And of course, everything's secrecy, non-disclosure agreements, stuff like that. And my stepdad's like, yeah, honey, no, I'll be home in a little bit. I'm just out by Bakersfield over off of Lake Isabella here. And the producers are like, no.
Oh, my God.
What are you doing?
Oh, wow. Yeah, red flag. Yeah, spoiler alert right here.
Yeah, but I mean, like my mom is going to, call TMZ.
Right.
Or the Hollywood Rock and Wrap-Up. But
I got the inside scoop on this. You want to hear this?
That show was a meat grinder, let me tell you. Okay, because first of all, they put, as you're aware, they put three adults against 6 Eagle Scouts.
That's what I understood. Yeah.
Right, and so the first competition is 3 scouts on 3 adults. That sounds weird.
And I know that what are they telling you? They had me practicing knots and stuff like that too.
Yeah, they told me to be prepared for anything. That I had a pack limit of 70 pounds, but I had to be prepared for anything.
Now, did you have to bring your own things, your own items?
I brought everything on my own. Very little of it I actually had to buy.
Wow.
Yeah, most of I'm a pretty avid camper myself, outdoorsy kind of guy, but so a lot of that stuff I had myself, but I basically just had to pack, they provided a tent, so all we had to do was just bring sleeping bag and pack gear and stuff, but it was a 70-pound limit.
Yeah. And I mean, I would have brought my PS3 and you know what I mean, and a television and maybe a charger, to go.
Yeah, right.
What are you doing, man? Hey, I'm playing in Grand Theft Auto 5. What's up, man?
And it was funny too because they did this one segment where they took our backpacks and they turned them inside out, just to empty all the stuff out. Like, tell us what you have in your pack. Do you have your 10 essentials? Blah 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 blah.
Right.
And so I had my 10 essentials, of course, but I also had this big, huge buck knife in there that, in the handle of the survival knife, holds all your fishing gear. One of those you can buy online or whatever. Yeah. And so the kid is sitting there going, you're not allowed to have sheath knives in a backpack. And I look at him and I'm like, well, that's the benefit of being an adult.
Right.
And the kid looks at the producers like, what? And I'll tell you because this footage will never see the light of day.
Right.
Okay, so that morning they got us up really early for a polar bear swim. Which is, for those that don't know, there's a swim where you just get up and you go into an icy cold lake and then you come back out. And so they get us up early in the morning, and I'm just coming out of this, actually it was pretty warm because it was really hot. But in any case, I come out of the lake and I'm looking at the cameraman, and I look at the cameraman and I go, by the way, I don't know if you know this or not, but I was actually my troop's bugler, and then I blew this huge fart. I put my hands up, like,
right,
like one of those, and so the cameraman looks at the producer and goes, 4 minutes 51 seconds. Mark that. The footage will never see the light of day.
Well, we're going to go to a commercial here in a couple seconds, so we'll finish this when we come back.
Bring the noise. Brian Crow entertains and delights your fragile little minds with original music, unique celebrity guests, and original insight into what you care about. You can be part of the discussion live and share your thoughts, engage with his guests, and delve into the mind of the American Psycho. Every Friday at 8 Pacific, only on Excite Radio.
Katori Magazine has been reborn. New articles, new features for those who demand to stay on top with what you care about. Music, art, politics. KatoriMagazine.com. A different kind of magazine for a different kind of generation. Katori Magazine.
Feeling lonely, depressed, or suicidal? Then why not rescue a kitten? Kitten Rescue is the largest animal rescue on the West Coast. They specialize in special needs or shelter-rescued animals who need a loving home and a friend. So put down that razor, get off that chair, unplug that radio, step out of the tub, and visit kittenrescue.org and browse through our selection of happy and healthy animals who want you to take them home and have them become part of your meaningless, pathetic existence. Bring some purpose into your life at last with the gift of joy and responsibility. Rescue a kitten.
Why don't I have any friends? Why doesn't anyone like me? Why was I beaten unmercifully just for walking into that kid at school? Because you're a geek. Attention, nerds, geeks, goofs, dorks, and dweebs. You now have friends. That's right, you heard us. Want a friend? Come join us live every Friday at 5 Pacific on Excite Radio. Unveil and expose geek life on Geek Speak. Because if we don't, who the fuck will? Call in via voice, Skype, or instant message. You can now watch us live on Ustream and subscribe on iTunes. Be there or be a fourth dimensional rectangular object with 4 parallel areas that intersect to form a shape.
Broadcasting live from Los Angeles on exciteradio.com.
Ever wanted to know how music really works? Revolutionary musical scientist and mathematician Alex Sioris is breaking new ground with his incredible new insights into music and the way the brain thinks. With colors, shapes, and numbers, Alex has been able to unlock the secrets of music that traditional music theory is shrouded in mystery for hundreds of years. Learn the secrets of chord theory, scales, and so much more in a simple musical circle. Now you can get a glimpse of ecometry in the form of an easy-to-use musical cookbook on your iPhone. Visit iTunes App Store now and do a search for ecometry or visit ecometry.com. ECHOMETRY.com. Ecometry, because music theory is a convoluted bitch.
World famous DJ Damien V hosts the Sunset Island music radio show, bringing you the worldwide weekly top 25 of original music. Come savor your exclusive taste of the best music from unsigned artists across the globe. Tune in every week and enjoy the best original music that is shredding the indie charts. Tune in to Sunset Island Music Radio Show on Excite Radio. Fridays at 3 p.m. Pacific. You may also subscribe to the podcast at iTunes and get exclusive access to the show before it airs live. Rock on with your bad self every Friday at 3 and be in the know. Over 2 million listeners enjoy the sounds from the Sunset Island Music Radio Show every week on several stations around the world. Come and join in on the fun now on Excite Radio.
It's the Hollywood Rockin' Wrap-Up with your host, Jason Hadley. Lady Gaga released her new single entitled Do What You Want. I've already gone ahead and taken her advice, starting with changing the station during Lady Gaga's new single entitled Do What You Want.
I think she gets some of her ideas from Madonna.
Attending the London Film Festival, Johnny Depp went blonde with his most recent haircut. Obviously, Johnny misunderstood critics who saw The Lone Ranger and suggested he needed some new acting jobs. It was a single tweet that revealed singer Kelly Clarkson was married this weekend. The secret wedding was held at a resort called Blackberry Farms, so it's fair to assume the reception was horrible and explains the lack of nationwide coverage. NBC's The Voice judge, CeeLo Green, has been cleared of sexual assault charges. At over 300 pounds, DAs determined not being able to hold up your own body weight isn't a crime. And that's the Hollywood Rockin' Wrap-Up. For all the jokes I can't say here, follow us on Twitter at Rockin' Wrap-Up.
That was pretty special. I like that.
Thank you very much.
That was cool, man. Now, that right there is, just in case you're just joining us right now, this is Jason Hadley in the studios with us, and he's actually going to be, he's working on the Hollywood Rockin' Wrap-Up.
Yeah, I am the host, the writer, the producer, the marketer, the everything of the Hollywood Rockin' Wrap-Up.
We share similar roles. And in that case, he's also a comedian, and he's going to be performing at Sal's Comedy Hole tomorrow.
I will be deep inside Sal's Comedy Hole. So, just so you're aware.
And he's going to be performing, what is it, 8, as you said, 8 o'clock?
It's a 9 o'clock show. 8:30 doors will open, but I'll
get in there early, get a good seat.
Exactly. That's the key.
Well, that's cool. You know, I'm glad to have you in studio.
Thanks,
before we went to break, we were actually talking about, are you tougher than a Boy Scout?
Yeah.
In fact, we had that in common as well. I mean, we run very parallel lives.
I know.
It's pretty unique.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that two people should finally, cross paths, that they're running on the same course.
I do believe in that, too. I definitely think that, you meet people you're supposed to meet, in life, and it just brings you and connects you.
Yeah.
And this is actually pretty special because, as I was mentioning, we're doing we're talking about, are you tougher than a Boy Scout?
Yeah.
And I think you said, summed it up as you are not tougher than.
No. Well, you know what it is? I mean, now that the show's aired, I can talk about it, of course, but I made it to the end of the show, but I didn't win the final challenge. So, but they ended up giving me the trip to Canada anyway. So
really?
Yeah, I ended up with a trip to the Canadian Rockies. And,
now, how was that? Was it worth it?
Let me put it this way.
They stick you back out in survival.
Yeah, it was.
Good luck, man. See ya.
You know what it was? It was a trip. It wasn't a vacation. So if you could differentiate those, because everything was regimented out, and they had an itinerary. So you had to be up early in the morning to get into the shuttles to go see, the mountains and the waterfalls and do the hikes and stuff like that. It's like if I wanted to really felt like I want a trip, I would want to go to, tour a cocaine factory in Colombia. No, I'm kidding. I know, but I mean, a vacation is different because you get up and you do what you want. You can eat breakfast when you want. You don't have to brush your teeth. I mean, I suppose you don't have to do that stuff either, but you're in close quarters with people for a week.
Right, right.
So it was, I was part of a group of about 17 other travelers that were doing this National Geographic trip, and I was... basically myself and my guest that I brought with me, we were the only ones we were the youngest by about 20 or 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And we were also the brokest amongst them. Because, these are people that have done trips around the world and stuff like that. But,
right. And they're buying all these souvenirs along with them. You're like, hey, man.
Yeah. I was like, we're eating at McDonald's. You know what I mean? I'm like, they have McDonald's in Canada. It's okay.
And we actually cover this. We know we work with a lot of people in the Canadian area.
Yeah.
And God, what was it? It was a special kind of dish, and it totally slips my mind. But I guess it's pretty popular over there.
Poutine.
Yes.
Yeah, I tried it over there.
Is it good?
It's amazing.
Is it really?
Okay, it's perfect drunk food. So for the uninitiated, I believe it's French fries with brown gravy and then cheese curds on top of that, and it's just. Wow. Oh my goodness gracious. It turned every one of my taste buds into a clitoris. Whoa. I mean, that's how amazingly good it was.
Really?
You eat 3 of them, you die. But it's so bad for you. But it's so good,
That's funny.
It feeds the soul, is I think what I'm getting at here.
Now, I'm wondering why it hasn't carried over here. I mean, obviously we've got all the issues over here with, the McDonald's is definitely a target.
Yeah.
For weight and of course people are coming down now for even the toys.
Yeah.
Being inside of the Happy Meals and stuff.
Well, you know what the thing, as far as I'm concerned, it's so cold there in Canada. They got a lot of time to get together and practice making babies. That burns a lot of calories during the winter. So, and they're pretty active people, and portion sizes are different at restaurants and, stuff like that. I mean, with Americans, everything is like try to get as much as you can into yourself as possible and for as cheap as you can, know?
Is that because it's like cold over there and they have to go ahead and bulk up or something?
That's the thing is it's like you're south of the U.S.-Canadian border. They talk about putting on your winter fat. But, like in the northern part up in Canada, it's just put a jacket on.
Exactly, you think.
Yeah.
I mean, now, is it still kind of a popular thing over there with the Canadians to do A? How you doing, eh?
Yeah. Well, funny enough, actually, it turned out that I revealed that I was a comedian to everybody in the tour group that I was with, and we were joking around one time, and our tour guide was from Vancouver, or from Banff, actually. I think he was from Banff. And so I asked him, I'm like, how they chose the name Canada, right? And he's like, oh, yeah, and he gives me the whole story. And I'm like, no, dude, they just put a bunch of letters in a hat, and they drew them out, and they're like, C-A, N-A, D-A. But the most polite people. I mean, like overtly polite, and like they'll be overly polite because they want to be rude. You know what I'm saying? Like whereas Americans would be like, "Hey, I'm walking here," they'd be like, "Oh no, excuse me, pardon me." You know what I mean? Like it's not even snide. It's like so syrupy, genuinely polite that it's like it's almost off-putting that it's like that they don't get mad. It's they're very friendly people up in Canada.
And I've actually seen some of the most beautiful women up there too.
Oh yeah.
And they're French. So that's like the downside on my end because you're someone so beautiful and you want to strike up a conversation. It's like I have this language barrier and I can pretty much say anything I want to you right now.
Well, yeah, right, pretty much. Well, I suppose you could, but that's what Google translates for.
Wait, hold on one second. Here, read this.
Yeah, right, pretty much. And then she'll be like correcting your grammar.
Right.
And stuff like that. I mean, I took 3 years of Spanish. I would never be able to make it in Mexico.
Where's the A?
Right. What's that thing that's C with a squiggle underneath it called? That makes the schwa sound in Francois.
Here, I'll pull my pants back up.
Right. And she's like, oh, oui. Hey-o. Wow, I just got double hey-o'd.
Yeah.
Is that a little beat pickup?
Yeah. So, that's pretty cool. Just so we don't get too far along, and I don't have time to mention this, I definitely do want to put a word out for a couple things. We've got a big event actually coming up.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
It's November 1st,
okay.
and in fact, this is going to be in Pasadena. And it is an invite only, so anyone that's out here listening to this, it's going to be in the Pasadena area. And we can't give out the information, but if you want to know more, you can easily call in, and we'd be more than happy to share that information with you. Excite Radio main line is 818.
Do we get any kind of clue?
985-2464.
It's on Earth.
It's on Earth. It's in Pasadena. It is a haunted venue for the Day of the Dead.
Oh.
A lot of celebrities. We got the booze, the haunted attractions, and it's going to be something pretty amazing. We will be doing a live broadcast next week, and that's when this happens.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So, shout out for that. And then we also have on the following week, we've got Battle of the Bands.
Oh.
This is involving our partner, Michael Deladonna. If you're out there, I know you are. And, it was Sunset Island Music Radio. In fact, he has selected his top bands and essentially says that his bands will kick our butts, hands down. And so essentially it is truly a battle of the bands.
I was going to ask, is it a battle of music or is it like gladiator-style combat?
I wish it was the latter part. That'd be kind of fun. Yeah, I mean, let's do it. I'm down. And funny you say that because on the day prior to that, we will be doing a red carpet at Club Euphony as well. I'm not sure if it's open to the public, and I should be announcing this. Maybe I'm spoiler alert.
Right.
But there's probably going to be a lot of people now there, and it's all going to be my fault. Oh, shoot. We got someone calling in.
Oh.
All right. Let's see who this is. You're live on the Gorilla Cookie Radio Show with Toolrantula. Who is this?
Hey, this would be the Silverback.
It's a Silverback. Yeah, what's up, brother?
Thank you for carrying the torch, good man.
That's what I do, man. That's what I do. I fill in the vacant void.
In fact, that came across a little bit too genuinely. I should throw in a little bit of Canadian syrupiness. Thank you so much. No, really.
You're half Canadian.
Talking about poutine.
Poutine, I know.
It keeps coming up.
It does, doesn't it? You know, it's like, wow, this is like the running theme here.
Which is funny because the last thing it would taste like is poo. You know what I mean?
I know, right?
Wouldn't it be amazing if it tasted like teen? I'm just saying.
Maybe if it was nicotine with poop, it could be good. You could put it in that little thing and smoke it, huh?
You know, the weird part is that everyone knows what this crap tastes like. I have no clue, but it just sounds fantastic.
Oh, it's amazing.
And, you know, the worst part is really, it's not that complicated, but the part we can't get here for some reason is the cheese.
Yeah, cheese curds are
everybody's been saying it's cheese, but like your guest said, it's actually cheese curds. So I'm not sure exactly what that means, but it looks like knots of cheese. It's weird.
Yeah, they're like lumps of cheese.
Yeah, like lumps of cheese.
You mean like a blue cheese type of thing? Like a blue cheese crumble or something?
No, more like mozzarella.
Mozzarella?
It's more like mozzarella, yeah.
Yeah, you don't see that in any market.
Somewhat bland, but very stringy.
Right. And usually they sell them like in the northern part of the country, like Wisconsin, Michigan, stuff like that. I used to have a boss that would go visit family in Wisconsin and come back specifically with cheese curds.
I would imagine so.
Yeah, and just set them out for
smuggling the cheese curds back.
Yeah.
What's that in your pocket? Cheese curds.
And it is true that it's some wonder why we can't get it over here, but either way, so yeah, but for some reason we don't, and maybe it's not for the better because it's just going to make us all fat.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you know, to that point though, if I'm not mistaken, haven't they been running like real California cheese ads for like 20 years? And at some point, they never got to the idea of making the curds. Like, they must ship the curds to Wisconsin so that they can sell them there, because I would think it would be an easy thing to do to have cheese here available for us, cheese curds.
You would think.
I need somebody who actually knows what a cheese curd is to call in, because honestly, what is it like the process before the actual cheese or what? Like,
I think it's
more
when
like biker speed as opposed to crystal meth.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
It's still in the bathtub, still floating around in the jelly.
Well, what you do
the
is
Heisenberg of cheese.
I was going to say you cut it with like baby powder, and then it makes you have to take a dump after you do it.
Everything makes me have to take a dump after I do it.
I have an ounce of cheese curds, man. This is $55, the real deal.
The first one's always free, right?
Right, exactly.
You got to take your own scale so you don't get burned with your cheese curds.
So what are you doing out there, man? What's going on?
You know what, guys? I'm just gonna throw this out there in case anybody's listening and even cares. I got so swamped with work today, I could not get away, and you know, I've never been more upset with myself. But it was just really, my hands were tied. I couldn't do anything about it, and you know, so my hands are still currently tied, but the dominatrix has stopped whipping my ass.
I figured that's probably what it was.
You know, you might want to save your receipt, because that's a write-off, right?
You know, and I want to thank you, actually, Toolrantula, for letting me borrow your tassel-handled ass whip.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime, man. Just make sure to clean it off before you return it.
Mentioned.
It's got my stamp on there.
Right? Yeah, it's got your name written on it.
Right.
It's Sharpie.
If lost, return to Toolrantula.
He probably keeps it in that blue fluid
He bedazzled the whole thing.
I do. Yeah. I keep it under my chair.
I'm gonna let you guys get back to it, because as I say, I am currently swamped with it, but it's a good show so far. You know,
Thank you.
Completely unreminiscent of Gorilla Cookie Radio Show. It's actually somewhat funny this time.
Yeah. Well, hey, maybe we're setting a trend here. You know, it may be the evolution of a new show.
Right. Maybe I can be your sidekick.
All right.
We're not trading names, though. We're not trading names. You can keep that one.
You got it, man.
Take care.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. Take care.
Later.
Have a good time.
All righty. All right. And And that was Silverback. That's the host of this show that we're on right now. So
just phoning it in.
Yeah, just phoning in. Hey man, hey, just want to let you know it's still my show. Stop being funny. Cool. So, that's cool. He's got his things going on, and look, we know we're in the business too, so we know things get pulled off in different directions, right?
Oh, please! I mean, constantly spinning plates.
Yeah,
constantly spinning plates.
We all are getting pulled off in different directions every now and then. So, listen, back to what we were talking about really quick. I think we were talking about the show coming up, which is on November 8th, and my spoiler alert again. I'm really going to spoil this one.
Right.
We're actually we have a number of the UFC champions coming in for a red carpet event.
Wow.
That's going to be pretty big, and we'll be spotlighting there. In fact, that's not going to be any kind of live remote. That's just for people that are involved in that.
I hear UFC guys are some of the nicest guys outside the ring.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. They're nice outside the ring. That's
because they leave it all there. I mean, I know several people that do like jiu-jitsu and what have you, and some of them compete, some of them don't, but they're all just like the most mellow guys.
Yeah. We've actually done some work in the UFC before. We've worked with the Iceman on his RX line and such. I know that we've got some other people that we're still forging relationships with, and I don't want to be a name dropper by any means, but we're definitely involved in the arena. So we've got a lot of good activity in that realm, and then of course that's on the 8th, and then the 9th also at Club Euphony in Riverside is the Battle of the Bands, and I'm not sure if we actually have. I think all the bands are in. Everyone's already kind of solidified, so this is going to be a fun event.
Right on.
For me especially because and then this is kind of brazen, Mikey D, to make me a judge too. This is how confident this guy is.
Okay.
Right. So he's even saying that our bands are so good. I'm even going to make you a judge. So
they're putting their fate in your hands.
Yeah. I mean, come on. I'm already biased. What do you think?
Yeah.
Right.
I was going to say.
But okay. I mean, if you think you can make me change my mind, maybe I will.
Right.
But we actually had Pig Money in studio last week, and this band is rocking, man. This band is really something special. So, Mikey D, I think you got your bands have their hands full, so they better bring it. So that's what's going on with that, and I will be judging down there. So if you want to come on in, I'm not sure if there are any kind of minimums or whatever it is to get in, but it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. The place is going to be packed. We're promoting the hell out of it, and again, that's in Riverside Club Euphony. If you need any information on that, you can also contact us here.
I love playing Riverside.
Right.
Any IE gig is awesome.
It's something special, and we're really looking forward. I'm doing back-to-back down there too. So so my commute is actually going to be kind of fun. I might just end up picking up a hotel room down there.
Yeah.
Hey, for whatever.
Right. Like a Motel 4.5.
You got as cheap as I can get, right?
Yeah.
So kicking it down there. I might even shack up with somebody. If who knows how the night's going to go.
You should try that couch surfing site. Have you ever heard of it?
You know what? No, I haven't. What is that?
Okay, you'll have to do a Google search on it, but it is a site for people that are couch surfing around the country, and it's like a Craigslist or like a just some sort of like community message board where people who have a couch available or who have a spare bedroom available put it up online, and then people who are looking, like, let's say you're following the Dead and your VW bus broke down and you don't have a place to sleep, you can make arrangements with people and plot out a course along your travels where you sleep on other people's couches, and in turn, when people are in town, you're supposed to let them sleep on yours. But I don't know who you get with stuff like this.
Right, I was going to say, my gosh, you can
there's
really
be
welcome some unsavory characters.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Either that or you don't let them sleep on the good couch.
I'm at the doghouse in the backyard.
We found this couch in the alley. I thought it'd be perfect for you. Never mind the blood.
That would be kind of a good joke to do on like someone that you didn't like. You know what I mean?
Right.
Exactly. You just sign them up and get the whole thing ready and get this guy a million calls from just these wild, transients that are just traveling from state to state.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, like, there's got to be some sort of screening process involved there or something. But
I don't know.
That site exists, though.
Huh.
It does exist, and let alone you're probably going to be sleeping on a couch that smells like cat pee and blah, blah,
Well, it's funny you say that because a friend of mine, she runs a B&B. I think it's called Airbnb. And that's for people that essentially come from overseas, from abroad, and are looking to break into different markets and, the actors and whatnot. And, speaking of which, we'll give a shout out to Garakai, too. What's up, buddy? We had him in here a little while back, and he's actually from Australia, one of the nicest guys you ever want to meet. And we still have to do this interview here again with him to find out some updates because we have some stuff happening with him.
Cool.
But it's Airbnb, and I guess what happens is that people call up, and I guess the arrangement's already pre-made, and they've got all these, it's just a standard price, I guess. I really don't know all the logistics of it. Yeah. But they come over, and then that's essentially what it is. They have their own room. They have the showers, and they get pretty much everything all taken care of for a specific block of time.
And then the owner of the B&B sells the footage on the web from the shower. Because obviously these people are not coming with lots of money.
Yeah, you got it. But from what I understand, they're beautiful people too. I imagine. Especially in the entertainment realm. You're getting some hot models from like different countries.
Well, I watch a lot of porn, and
that's surprised.
Like a lot, so shocking. If anybody can see me on this camera, yes, of course I watch a lot. I smoke porn. If anybody asks, that's how much I'm addicted to porn. No, but like the Czech Republic has been like churning out these ladies that are like rivaling American porn, and it's like
without a doubt. Hot. Well, it's funny because I was actually in Iowa, Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
I air in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
You got to be kidding me.
I kid you not, man.
Okay, so check this out. So you know as well as I do, I was at the very end of the train line where the Quaker Oats factory was.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. And so I was over there, and here I am. I'm walking across the street, and hey, listen, I'm a pretty good-looking guy, and I was walking across the street, and next thing you know, I hear this hooting and hollering and stuff, and there's a bus. It was a busload of beautiful. I'm talking Playboy quality, gorgeous, white model.
Wow.
And I'm walking across the street, and I'm thinking, well, who the hell are they hollering at? I'm the only one on the freaking street.
And you're thinking, well, I have been working out.
Right. Are my nipples protruding through my shirt? Awesome. And so I look back, I'm like, what? They're hooting and hollering at me.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, well, why? Why they, and I'm thinking, oh my God, really? I must be like a super hot model over here. And I was. Yeah. I was a super hot model over there in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. All you losers, trust me. You can go up there and you will get hooked up with the hottest chick. They don't even know they're hot.
Listen, I am a Green Bay, Wisconsin 10.
Oh, yeah. Right.
I might be an LA 6, but I'm a Green Bay, Wisconsin 10.
Well, that's the thing is that if they come over here, they'll realize how hot they are, and it ruins the whole thing.
Yeah,
so keep them over there. Stay over there in Cedar Rapids.
No doubt.
I'd like to get someone from Cedar Rapids on the line next time, but I think we're kind of running low on time. But for sure,
I love Cedar Rapids.
Oh, isn't it great?
Oh, funny story about Cedar Rapids because I was in there. Okay, so here I was working on a marketing campaign with the Red Cross right after I got out of college, and we were doing a mobile marketing tour, and where we went from city to city talking about blood donation, blah blah blah. Anyway, so one of our stops was in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and they do like this event for us where they're welcoming the caravan and the Red Cross and all that. And part of the people that are in attendance are the Cedar Rapids Civil Air Patrol. Right? You remember the Civil Air Patrols from World War II?
Sure.
The Cedar Rapids Civil Air Patrol. Now, my thinking is, if the enemy planes have gotten to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, does it really matter if, if nothing else, they're just warning the people on the other side of the country? You know what I mean? Like, if you've made it to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, you've pretty much won that war, right?
Yeah, you think, right?
Yeah. I mean, if the Civil Air Patrol would really only be there just to, help all the POWs in Cedar Rapids get processed properly, I was just thinking, how ridiculous is that, It's sort of like one of those things where, how, the Army hates the Navy? They have that big rivalry.
Oh, yeah.
But on every Army post, there is a Popeye's chicken. Mm-hmm. And Popeye was a sailor.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Popeye the sailor, it's Popeye's chicken.
That's true. Yeah.
Then they never had KFC. KFC is a colonel. Colonel Sanders.
Right.
Why would they? These people that hate the Navy so much, Popeye's chicken apparently widely popular on Army bases.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And yet they hate the people from the Navy. I hear all the time.
Nobody caught
the contradiction there, isn't it? Wow. What
boggles the mind.
It does boggle the mind. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's a slow process before they, I guess, try to,
budgets.
Hey, and before I forget, because we've got just a few minutes here in the studio left, I do want to put a notice in here for anyone out there that wants to get involved with the MS Fitness Challenge. This is a big deal that we're sponsoring and we're undertaking, and we're looking for any sponsors to go ahead and jump on board and help us with a nationwide tour to help people that are afflicted with MS. That person to contact would be David Lyons with Bishop Lyons Entertainment and ITV, and you may know him from Hell's Kitchen and Duck Dynasty, all these things too.
Wow. Okay.
And he himself is actually afflicted with MS. He's actually leading this whole campaign, and we definitely want to support all the efforts that he's doing. And we're putting the word out there to make sure that if anyone out there can do any and everything you can, please also give us a call here in the studio, and I'll say that number again too. Actually at XMLA or Excite Media, that's 818-985-2464. You can speak with anyone here, and we'll be more than happy to work with you to get you on board. Moving on, so let's do like a last minute thing here.
Yeah,
cover some of the things that we talked about earlier on in the show. We've got this the Hollywood Rock and Wrap Up.
Yep.
I really want to make sure that people understand exactly what this is. If you want to give one more.
Hollywood Rock and Wrap Up, poking the celebrity, tapping the glass on the celebrity fishbowl. That's what we do. You can follow us at Rock and Wrap Up on Twitter. You can join us on Facebook, facebook.com/Rock and Wrap Up. The YouTube channel's getting changed over. We're doing we'll be up on iTunes soon enough, so you can download our daily podcast. It's only a minute, so it airs during you heard it earlier in the hour. And then of course myself, comedian Jason Hadley at gmail.com if you want to reach out for bookings. And you can follow me on Facebook at comedian J Hadley and Twitter at comedian J Hadley.
Perfect. And then what we'll do is also give another give you another little shout out here for your gig coming up tomorrow at Sal's Comedy Hole in LA on Melrose. And how can they find out more about that?
Just go to salscomedyhole.com and make sure you print out the flyer. You can find it on my Facebook page, again, Facebook.com/comedian Jason Hadley. Print that flyer out, $10 admission. The show starts at 9, doors open at 8:30. You'll have a great time.
And you know what? You really want to check him out too. This is a very, very funny man. He's got a lot of things going on, and definitely an up-and-comer and future superstar for sure.
From your lips to God's ears, brother.
There you go. And across the nation, listen, if you haven't heard him or anything like that, you definitely want to check him out. Go to those sites. Give him some feedback, and definitely want to support this guy, Jason. It's a super pleasure to have you in here.
I appreciate
we really we value everything that you're doing, and we want to support every effort that you're all your endeavors, if you will.
Sweet. I have a cocaine habit. I'm trying to support. Any help around that? No.
You can call us here in studio. We're winding down here. I think we got about 20 some odd seconds before we go ahead and move on.
Okay.
I know that we have some good guests coming in for the Geek Speak radio show just after this. I think we got Jessica Cameron. Maybe I'm a spoiler alert on that one, but she's hot. And so anyways, hey, listen, guys, thank you for tuning in. Gorilla Cookie Radio Show. See ya!
Joining us on the Gorilla Cookie Radio Show. We'll see you next week. Stay tuned for Geek Speak coming up next on Excite Radio.
It's the Hollywood Rock and Wrap Up with your host, Jason Hadley. On her way to a party, Sandra Bullock got into the Halloween spirit a little early, dressing up in a skeleton costume. With bones on the outside of her body, apparently she was going as Maria Shriver. Baby daddy Kanye West was sporting a white t-shirt with Kim Kardashian's face on it. I haven't seen the washing instructions, but come laundry time, I'm sure that white t-shirt would rather be mixed in with the darks.
Kim, when have you gone back?
Jamie Welling filed for divorce from her husband and former Superman, Tom Welling. While Jamie admits she's not a fan of Smallville, it's unclear if she's talking about Tom's old TV show or just Tom. 40-year-old model Kate Moss was photographed vacationing topless in Jamaica, while wilderness experts say you can